Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin then. So she's having a nice bounce, let's face it. She's bouncing quite well from that nasty pullback that she had yesterday, and that weekly candle that, well, you know, in terms of weekly candles, it's not the worst one we've ever seen. This was a lot worse. And this is, I suppose, what we were going on and saying, you know, as this downtrend was playing out. And it's still technically in play. So let me just put it out there that the downtrend is still technically in play. But I was saying, you know, from the top to the bottom, even if we came down to touch the 20 weekly, which is now at that area of support. So we've got candle wick, body. We've got the 20 weekly. This brings us down from the very peak all the way down to there, which would be 30%, 30.5%. We've got a 21 weekly moving average, we've got a 20 moving average, we've also got this horizontal line of support. All of this brings us down to, you know, 30.5%. So it's no big deal if we did come down to tag that, and this is what we were saying. And again, you know, last week I was talking about how this would be the mega bullish signal if ever there was one. We were still waiting to see if it was going to play out. And again, it's a weekly, and I did emphasize the fact that just because price action may continue to come down until this line breaks, I'm not going to be mega bearish. And we are at the moment, I suppose, bouncing from it. So we spent 2 weeks on this line. So 1 week, or I suppose a 7-day period, two weekly closes on this trend line, and we do appear to be having a bounce from it right now. I have to stress, though, for you know, this may not be the reversal that everyone's referring to, but it's definitely looking pretty good at the moment. But we are at resistance, so that is holding up quite nicely. We haven't yet tagged there, which again we could easily come down to tag there. And on the 4-hourly, this was the glimpse of a little piece of hope that we had, and that seems to have played out perfectly. Bullish divergence on the 4-hourly. So we got a low here with a very low read. We got a lower low on the price action with a higher read, and finally a very low here on the candle bodies with an even higher read. That's your bullish divergence played out there. So you know, if that is the bullish divergence played out, then that's the 4-hourly bounce done, you know, the one that we were looking for. And now we move up to the daily, which is a time frame that's been, I suppose, neglected on this channel. Normally we chart everything on a daily, but the 4-hourly had the downtrend in play. The weekly had the mega hopium in play, you know, as far as that money flow index and also the 20 weekly moving average level of support. So now we're going to bring it back to the daily, because the 4-hourly has played out for the moment as far as the bounce is concerned. Let's have a look at where we're being rejected from, or where we are at right now, and what I'm expecting to happen. So again, we are below all major moving averages still, and we are coming up to test the 10 exponential for the first time since we broke down from it over here. I suppose that was that was the first time. That was the last time we touched it, back over there. So if there is an area to be rejected from, it's here right now at 53,400, 53,500 thereabouts, around about this zone. If there's an area to be rejected from, it's here, and if that gets rejected from there, it's kind of okay, you know, as far as this whole chart formation's playing out. It would be in keeping with lower highs and lower lows. So we've got a lower low now. We'll be looking to cause a lower high. The lower high could be here. It could rally up to the 50 exponential. We're talking 54,700, or even better, we could make our way all the way up to the center of the Bollinger Band, just below $57,000. Okay, fair enough. Let's have a look at some of these other indicators. What are these saying? So the money flow index is particularly low. It's not really been this low for a long time, but money has dripped out of Bitcoin for a while. The MACD is actually below the 0 point, but curling up on the histogram. So all of that looks okay. The important thing for me at this point now is to see if we get confirmation of a lower high. And it would signify to me that the downtrend is still in play. However, that has been a nice bounce. And again, you know, that bounce, in my opinion, is that's the 4-hourly bullish divergence playing out, and you know, potentially, you know, actually played out, you know, maybe even played out. Now, one other thing we could think about on this is to take it back to the 4-hourly, because the 4-hourly still is relevant to this to this chart. The daily is going to give us our support, I suppose our resistance levels now, using these moving averages. These are the things that we need to reclaim, and then the holy grail would be to flip above and be closing above the center of this Bollinger Band on the daily. That's the holy grail. But there's also other battles that need to take place on the 4-hourly. So again, 4-hourly has reclaimed all major moving averages, but The big problem we have is the 200 exponential, which is still above us. This should always be below us in any kind of bull market, any bull trend. If this is below us, then everything's okay, you know, everything's all right. But at the moment, it's still above us. So you know, for the moment, the bears still get the upper hand on the lower term time frames and on the daily time frames. The weekly, however, very much in the bull's control. And if that, and you know me, and my preference is always on the larger term time frames anyway, because they offer the largest moves. If this does actually play out as it has done in the past, then it'll be then we are looking for a new all-time high. And I've been saying this way before we even, weeks, months actually, saying, look, we've got a fix on this. You know, wherever Bitcoin may be at the time where it tests here, it could be the next bottom. If we, I think we were saying it all the way back over here when we reached some pretty significant peaks on the money flow index, suggesting that could easily have been a top, and it carried on actually afterwards. It did play out bearish divergence on the weekly RSI though, but that could have potentially been the peak. We don't like being above this this high on the money flow index. That's your 2017-18 top. So your 2019 top. This could have been the 2021 top. So anyway, without going into too much detail, because there's really no need, the bulls are still in control of the weekly, which is good, and this does offer a very significant glimmer of hope on the long-term time frames. But the 4 hourly and on the daily, there is a battle going on there, and we do need to reclaim those zones. Even if we cool down for another week and end up ranging within, I suppose even our most recent low, or even a bit lower, $46,000 or $45,000, to perhaps maybe where we are right now, or a bit lower, that would be a nice range that we'd be playing in. It wouldn't be nice, obviously, because we want to, obviously, everyone wants a new all-time high. We want more money, but it's not really about chasing the fast gains. It's about the healthy, sustainable gains. That's what we really want. So that's the best way to view this. And the weekly to come down to this level and even a little bit lower, in my opinion, it's actually still quite healthy. So I'm not too fussed or bothered about that at all. I would be more concerned if the money flow index took a nosedive from this zone, which it will do at one point. Obviously, this is going to lead us all the way up to, well, I suppose it's an appropriate place to go, the end of what I would consider the bull market. Towards the end of this year, it would actually reach the end of the safety zone, getting into the overbought zone of the money flow index. So that I suppose is an appropriate read before we have a mega breakdown below here. Again, that's a long way away, and we could break down from here this week. We just don't know. But for the moment, it's holding up, and it's holding up, I suppose, as I would want it to, and I like what I see. But it doesn't mean that we're in an uptrend. We're not. We're performing a bounce, and there's a very important distinction to be made there. Uptrend is not in play at the moment. In fact, the downtrend is still in play, so on the small term time frames. So let's just put it all out there, so you can all see. One other thing I was going to say was that the Bitcoin dominance over here is I suppose having a little bit of a bounce, but I wouldn't be too concerned about that either. If Bitcoin is healthy and if Bitcoin's going up, with a Bitcoin dominance this low, does lend itself to further big moves from altcoins. And when we were looking at these charts over the last week, we did I suppose highlight the fact that the top cap coins are the ones that do have the strongest chart formations. The lower cap coins, they might pump, of course, and they probably are pumping, a lot of them today. Knife catchers pumps, those ones. As far as chart formations on the long term time frames, anything from Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, EOS, Ethereum Classic, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. They all have the best setups, and they're all the ones that offer the not the biggest returns, but when you have a good chart, you have to really I suppose trust that chart. All these small tokens, they are going to be performing huge bounces, of course they are, but as far as a continued uptrend, they are the stronger looking coins. Doesn't mean that they're going to outperform anything particularly, but they're not looking weak, let's put it like that. And so that is that. So one last thing I'll leave you with is that my token, the JAMMA token, went live on TronLink. Not TronLink. Yeah, it was. So you can get it. It's available on the TronLink wallet. You go to JUSTSWAP and you can buy it, or you can add to the liquidity pool on there. Now, just so you know, I am not telling you to go off and buy the JAMMA token. I'm just not telling you to do that. The liquidity is it's extremely small. So it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not really anything. It's a loyalty token that I give out to my Patreon members, but it pumped pretty significantly yesterday, to the point where at its peak one JAMMA token was worth over $7, which I was shocked at. Actually, I was expecting these things to trade at like fractions of a cent, but it actually went up quite a lot. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you ever do want to go and trade there, or if you actually just wanted to support the channel. The best way to do that, in my opinion, would just be to add a few dollars to the liquidity pool, and that would be the best way to support this channel. But again, I have to stress, I'm not asking anybody to go off and buy the JAMMA token. It's a loyalty token that's given to Patreon members on a quarterly basis for their repeated subscriptions. And over time, it's only been on for less than 24 hours. Over time, hopefully it will increase in value. There is scarcity to it. It's not like I'm giving it out willy-nilly. I'm certainly not selling it or dumping it myself. It's just a loyalty token that seems to have increased in value enormously on its first day of launch. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there, but thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day, and just be careful with Bitcoin at the moment. Respect the pump, but the daily, this is where we're going to look at our resistance zones, and this is what we really want to focus on: reclaiming these bit by bit, and then finally taking out the center of this Bollinger Band. That would be very good for Bitcoin, but for the moment, I'm viewing this very much as a bounce, and a bounce that could quite easily get sold back into. And yeah, we've got to start to reclaim some of these major areas that we've lost, not in terms of price, but in terms of moving averages. But again, the glimmer of hope, the main one, I would say, the 4 hourly has played out now. This is the thing to focus on. The weekly structure is still good. In my opinion, it's still good. It's looking a little tired, but it's still good. And if we come down to touch this zone here, that's a very strong support. And so long as this doesn't break structure as well, I'm very, very much in favour of the bulls on the long term. And actually, the way that it looks right now, however, it does look a little weak, it does look a little bit tired. The way it looks right now, I would give the bulls a very strong chance of a full recovery sooner rather than later, but the lower term timeframes do suggest that there's going to be a battle continue just to reclaim those major zones on the daily. And that's all there is to say. Have a nice day, take it easy.